Hey there, I know I look like a homeless bum right now, but I'm going to transform my appearance by sticking on hair. Maybe cleaning up a neckline a bit, probably not, because we want to do this as fast as possible and that doesn't really count. So I'll show you everything that I'm using to get this done. So this is a hairpiece that I pulled off my head. I peeled off the old glue with my thumb and I used baby wipes to clean my thumb, and then I used C22, which is a solvent to dissolve any remaining glue, and then wiped all that off with biodegradable baby wipes, and then just cleaned off any residue from this with just water. After that, I pre-glued the whole hairpiece with Walker Tape Ultra Hold Glue. This is called a front partial because, as you can see, I'm only missing partial hair at the front, rather than having a full topper, which would be a much larger hairpiece. And this piece here, I've simply cut out the side of a hairpiece back. That's the back corner where the back of the crown would be, and the hairpiece would go around like that. So this is not an official hairpiece sold for the purposes that I'm using it. But I cut it into 3 because I want to be able to save money. So first of all, I'm going to shave my head with a razor blade. And then I'm gonna wet this hair with water. Then I'm gonna place this hairpiece on my head with the help of alcohol spray, which will give me 30 extra seconds to position this and squiggle it into position. Hopefully I will avoid putting it down too low to begin with, because otherwise that causes residual glue to squiggle around my forehead. This could be avoided if I was more patient and I wanted to do this the slow way, by not putting glue around the front until the end. But I just can't be bothered doing that generally, so I pre-glue the whole thing, let it dry for 15 minutes or more, and then just put it on my head. After 15 minutes, it's tacky, okay? That's what dry looks like. It means that the glue's not coming off the hairpiece anymore, it's just dry. And then I'll brush my hair with the help of water and maybe put some hair product, which is just leave-in conditioner, and maybe I'll clean up my sideburns, which are getting very grey and scraggly as I get old. Okay, so step 1 will be to shave my head. Okay, start the timer. This front area here is what I call the shave zone. If you have a horseshoe balding pattern, you'll have to do this over your whole head. Not your whole head, but whole horseshoe. And as you can see, I'm not using any shaving cream, I'm just using hot water and the razor. Tapping the razor against the bowl of the sink so that the hairs are falling out quicker. Well, they probably wouldn't fall out at all if I didn't do that. The mirror I'm using here has a big light that I placed along the top so that I can actually see my own reflection. If you wear hair, toupee, hairpiece, you will need a light above your mirror. That's right, above your mirror. Because the light needs to shine down onto your scalp and then reflect that light off the mirror into your retinas. If you don't have access to that, you're going to have a much harder time seeing what you're doing, which is what I have to deal with whenever I am staying somewhere else and have to change my hairpiece. It's a pain in the ass. I usually have some kind of light, such as the light from my phone, which I can somehow stick to the top of the mirror. Okay. Shaving complete. Cleaning the basin. Wetting my hair so it's in tight matches. Obviously, me knowing where to shave is made a lot easier by the fact that I have shaved the same area many times, and of course that was a lot shorter than the rest, so I knew where the border was, the perimeter was. So first I'll spray water into this hairpiece so that it won't hang over my eyes while I'm trying to see what I'm doing. Then I'll spray alcohol spray, which is just used for cleaning computer monitors and stuff, under this. You don't have to worry about what type of alcohol spray it is. Anything's fine. And just squiggle it, holding the temples in position. Some people position the front hairline by priority, which is just at the top of the top nub of your forehead when you raise your eyebrows. But in my case, this is a stencil that needs to fit, so I'll make that land where I think it needs to land, and then try to position it up here where it needs to be. Unfortunately, the stencil cut shape that I've designed is not perfect, which means that the two corners end up lower and they don't go up into the perimeter perfectly. And I just haven't gotten around to creating a new stencil that's perfect yet. Also, most people don't use this leaf-shaped stencil because usually they'll make it round, however big that their old patch is. And I call that whole area the shave zone, the balding area, because you've got to kind of shave it to get all any bum fluff off it, baby hairs. Okay, so the hairpiece is now stuck on. In about 2 minutes, it'll be as solid as it's ever going to get. This is the only glue I use that nowadays. It's not perfect, but at least when it's wet, and it'll stay wet for all the time that you use it, which means if anything peels off, you can just sort of smush it back in. Hasn't got as strong a hold at that point, but at least you have a second chance, or third and fourth, or infinite chances until it gets dust and dirt underneath it, but that won't even happen the whole duration with hairpiece. So now I've got a full head of hair again. I'm going to clean up these raggedy, nasty greys with the help of my beard trimmer. We've just got a 7mm guard on it, 7 to 9mm. So if I rotate this thing, it'll lower the white, what do you think that is, porcelain or something? And that will increase to 9, and that will reduce to 7mm. This one, whatever company this is, Hatica, doesn't work when it's plugged in. Bad design. Anyway, let's go. I've had this for years, it's fine. So as I got to this top part, I lift it up, so I didn't have to shorten my hairdo. As you start making that short, then you've got to make all of it short, and you end up with really short back and sides, then you've got to cut your hair and everything. So just be careful not to encroach too much there. Okay. Now I never shave my face, I don't want shaving rash. Sometimes I do and I always regret it. I haven't had a girlfriend for ages, so it doesn't matter about kissing and stuff. You stubble and you rash or whatever. So this is called the targus, I think, something like that. This thing here that people get pierced. It's called the tragus. Sorry, it's the tragus. I'm just going to shave my sideburns to the tragus. Conventional hairdos for men, and probably midway along the tragus. But I like to have a little bit of sideburnage. I don't know. I feel like it fills my face out more, so it's not, I don't look too plain. But it gives you a sense of rebelliousness or something, I guess. To have sideburns, like a 70s bum. Give a bum just like a rocker or something. The other thing you can do instead of shaving clean, just give yourself a goatee or a goatee. That lip there should be in alignment with the beard. So the edge of that lip will be enough on that side. Then come in a bit here, so it conforms around. And it comes in like that. So the stippler in the middle, then down low on the lip, or halfway down. Get rid of these side bits because they're shit. They're still conforming to the mouth, the edge of the mouth. So I don't know if that's quite right, maybe you want to keep it out over the lip a bit. And get rid of this stuff in the middle. So you're left with three kind of distinct, 1, 2, 3. Because I've always had an orange beard, doesn't look great, but now it's starting to go white as well. And I've got a whole bunch of stubbly mess right here on the sink that I'm going to have to clean up. What I'll do now, my hands and water from the tap. So now the sink is clean. Don't like that mustache. Now, in terms of the back of the neck, how are you supposed to see the back of your own neck? You can't. There are things like handheld mirrors which would sort of enable you to do it. If you held it like that, you could probably see that. It's easier to balance if you just feel it. That'll go off after 60 seconds. Plug it back in, put it in charge. Clean the sink again. And then have a shower. And also put glasses on if you can't see. Probably should have done that to start with. And then wear a better shirt. I get this idea that shirts would work best if they were just bloody heavy. you want to get all this body hair off, you've got to basically use beat or some kind of hair remover. Beat or Nair are the two products I know about for hair removal cream. Now this hairpiece, as you can see up here, is not ideal because the roots are not bleached because it's lace. Sorry, it's because it's poly, not lace. With lace, which is netting, you can flip it upside down and just bleach the whole back of it with Schwarzkopf blonde hair dye, which is bleach. And so long as the companies used hair colouring to make the hairpiece instead of clothing dye, you'll be able to successfully bleach it. If you use a cheap company who don't do the job properly, you won't be able to bleach it because they've used clothing dye, and now it's permanent and there's no way that that bleach will work. I don't know how to use any other type of clothing bleach to get the job done if they have cut corners and used clothing dye. What all companies do who create poly systems, which is skin, thin skin, which is basically they take a dome and they paste polyurethane, I think it's called, over it, dry it in a warmer oven, take it out, peel it off, and then thread these brown hairs, which come from Indians, probably Indian women mostly, even though I often joke they come from coffins because they've dug it up and got free hair out of it. And they're naturally sort of dark brown, which is close to my hair color, which is lucky. So they do dye the hair a little bit to get it to this color. But what they don't do is they don't ever bleach the roots. What they could do, after they're threaded through that polyurethane thin skin, the V's that are sticking up, if we talk about this is upside down, they've sewn it all in, they could just bleach all that, wait 30 minutes, the bleach would seep through a little bit through into the roots, wouldn't be visible to anybody, wash it without letting any of the hairs fall out of it, then put the polyurethane seal over the top, let it dry, and now the hairpiece would be done and the roots would be absolutely invisible. Also what they could do, which is a pretty stupid way to do it, but that's what they're going to do for me, is they're going to take the full length of the hair, which is probably going to be like a foot long, they're going to bleach 1/2 inch down the middle of it, and then they're going to thread all that through and make sure that the corner of the V lands exactly in the middle each time. The problem with this, as I can foresee, has never been done before as far as I know, is that if a hair pulls half out, now a little blonde line will be appearing halfway along one of the hairs on your head, or maybe 2 or 3, however many have been tugged out of their latching, their original resting state. And that will mean that the blonde won't stay exactly positioned, but from my reasoning, most of them will. So it can work nicely, potentially. So long as they've let the blonde seep out and blend with the brown, in terms of me having white skin and my hair being brown, which is not the same as all of you, but it's the same as anyone with lighter skin and darker hair. People with blonde hair don't have to worry about most of this problem, and their lives are pretty easy. Dark people with dark hair, probably the same thing, so long as their skin is especially dark, otherwise you will see the lines. But if you want to have afro hair, you probably can't tell unless it's up around the very front edge of the hairs. And if you've dark skin anyway, it won't matter because it'll be black skin against black. But if you're just dark skin and not black, then you will see, because it'll be almost close to black lines that look unnatural all the way along the front. The other thing to consider is with poly, it is shinier than your forehead, so don't let there be any exposed base. That means base, with poly base or lace base, that doesn't have hairs coming out of it. Because if there are no hairs coming out of it, it's just a shiny piece of plastic sitting along the front. You've got to make sure you snip all that shit off before you put it on your head. It's very hard to do when it's on your head, Plus there's glue in there now and you're gonna get the scissors all fucked up, okay? Now in terms of front hairlines being perfect and so on, most people do not achieve this. It is possible. For example, if you have a lace hairpiece and the knots are bleached perfectly from underneath, you can put on your head, and on day one, if you manage to line up the glue, which you can't pre-glue a lace piece, you have to glue your scalp exactly where the hairpiece is going to land and then line it up and make it land exactly. If there are parts where the hairpiece is further back than the glue, then you'll just have glue on your forehead by itself with no lace there, with no hairpiece there. And it'll just gather fucking dirt all over the place, right in that big chunk. You'll try to get it off by using this, in combination with this. And what will happen is you'll be rubbing away at all that stuff, and all of the glue from around the area that needed to be having glue underneath it will be frayed and torn apart and be lost. And it'll be destroyed, and you'll have to peel off this whole area again and try to do it again and then make that lace land exactly, which is once again the problem that you had in the beginning. What you could do also is paste glue over all the rest of the hairpiece. Don't worry about the front inch until the very end, and then you'll have a better idea of where exactly that front hairpiece is going to land. Or if you always do it the same, you could potentially make the lace land where you know it's going to be at the end. But it's never exact because it varies by 1 or 2, 3 millimeters. If the glue's back and the hairpiece is forward of where the glue is that you thought was the right spot, it won't be exact, but lace has a little bit of stretch to it, so you could manipulate it so that it lands back in there, and eventually you'll get it exact. But it's very hard, very, very hard. 2 methods that I know of, or 3 methods that I've thought of. One is people put little dots along where they're going to glue to because they know that the hairpiece is going to be there, usually because they've already placed the hairpiece down and glued it to the rest of the head, and then they have a good idea about where it's going to land, even though it's very hard because you've got to pull the hairs back and then pull the hair down, which is you're countering the motions, and it wants to flop and the hairs want to spill forward, etc. Very hard to do, but at least you have an idea about where to glue to at that point. And you can mark it with an eyeliner pencil or even tape. If you use tape like I have in the past, you could use medical tape like micro pore by 3M tape, medical tape, and just try to glue all the way along the front, wait 15 minutes for that to dry, then peel the tape with hangover glue on it off. Of course, this means some of the glue, which is dried and is coming off of that tape, is being torn and skewed, and it's not neat as much as you would like. Then you can place the hairpiece down. Second method would be that you would place glue all the way along the front and all the way back, whatever you want to do, and then place the front of the hairpiece down first and then flop the rest down and just stretch it into position. I don't know how you manage to shave your head without looking, but people do it. I would assume a lot of people would have a stand with a camera that links back around to where their mirror is, and they've got a screen in front of them so they can see the back of their own head. And this would be adjustable, preferably on a microphone stand, which has a lot of curve adjustments for leaning and swinging, and you can get it exactly where you want. But I don't really know. When I did something like this once, people thought it was revolutionary. I still don't want to have to deal with the back of my head, even though I am receding somewhat back there, but I'm willing to let that be there like that because I know it's better than having to deal with a full hairpiece all the time. Also, it means that I'll have to pay triple the price because I would no longer be able to cut 3 hairpieces out of one unit. The third idea that I've had is to spray tan when it's on your head successfully. That will leave a tan mark, right? Then you glue exactly to the edge of the tan mark, and then the hairpiece is cut each time with the same stencil, so it should land exactly, and then you can just place it front first and then flip the rest back, which is really probably the best way if you're going to use lace and have to pre-glue your scalp instead of using poly. Another thing people seem to do, which seems ridiculous, is on lace at the very front edge, they will put tape, which doesn't come shaped like your stencil up front. They'll spend ages, one piece at a time, rectangle after rectangle, just placing it. It takes ages. I don't know why they bother. And then they flip it down, and then they've probably got a lumpy, fucking terrible hairpiece. Now, in terms of lace, staying on the topic of lace, this is not lace. Lace is a different thing that I've stopped using. After the first day, on the first day, if you get it right, it will look perfect. Nobody in the world, even with a close zoom camera, would even know that it's perfect, that it wasn't growing out of your head. It's perfect. On day 2, however, the air has got dust in it. Your pillow has smushed it around. You get in the shower, you rub your head like this a bit, and now a line of dirt has appeared on your forehead because you're wearing you chose lace instead of poly. So now what you got to do is get alcohol spray and a cloth and just wipe it, wipe it, wipe it, wipe it, wipe it, wipe it every day, always, for every day of your life. You've got to do that. Okay, that's what you get for choosing lace. At the time of removing the lace hairpiece, you must use something called lace release, which unbonds the hairpiece from the glue underneath it, which you're going to be discarding. You won't be discarding the hairpiece. You'll be using lace release to try to get the bloody thing off that glue all the way off your head, which means that when you pull this whole thing off your head and you've got the hairpiece here, there's less glue for you to clean off at the end. If you don't do this, if you just pull the whole thing off, the glue will prefer to stick to the netting of the hairpiece than to your smooth, baby smooth fucking scalp, okay? So the glue will stick to the base of the hairpiece. And you do not want to spend your life getting shit off that fucking hairpiece if it's smothered in glue. My opinion, don't choose lace. However, lace does look best on day 1, so if you're in a movie and it's one day only, it won't be one day only, you'll be doing multiple shoots as this character, so that's ridiculous. You'll be needing to do it lots of times. There are very few examples in life where lace for the front hairline is preferable to poly. You saw what I just did. It's on my head. It was on very quickly, and I just placed it and it was done. Understand? It landed where the glue is going to be because it has the glue on it. Lace is good at the perimeter. It looks great at the perimeter because hairs come out of your head like this, right? And lace at the end is a bit like that too. So when they're together, that's kind of matching. So back here, this edge here, I've got poly up against my natural hairs here like this. So if you looked, you would see a straight line of unnaturalness in there. That could be improved by having lace along the back perimeter of my natural bio hair. And once it's beyond the front hairline and all this rest of this area, it's not as visible by far. This is the most visible, the front hairline. Anything you do back in here, people can see through it with sunlight and bright lights and whatever, but generally speaking, the hair is a thicket hiding everything underneath it. It's the joints at the perimeter. If you wear your hairpiece all the way back to here, because you're balding, everywhere along this perimeter would be potentially seen by people, but nowhere near as much as this front hairline, because at least back around all the perimeter, the hairs are all mushed around at whatever length. This hairpiece right here is 3.5 inches at the fringe, about 3 inches really at the fringe. Well, what did I say in centimeters? About 7 centimeters, 7 or 8. But back around here, it's about 1.5, 2 inches back around here. Don't ever cut your hairpiece shorter than 1.5 inches, because if you do, it will just stick up and you won't be able to style it at all, and it will not react to a hairbrush. So poly at the front hairline wins, lace at the perimeter wins, but the problem with lace is you can't clean it very easily. But still a hybrid between poly at the front for the sake of ease and lace at the back for the sake of blending. Now with tape, which I've never used, or I've tried to use but it's never been successful, you can push tape up against lace and then apply ultra hold over the top of the weak motherfucking piece of shit weak hold of tape. And that should give you extra strength. And it should still not pull off. If you do that, potentially this bit along here or along your perimeter will not have to be cleaned in a difficult way when it comes to removing it. Because removing tape from lace is fucking easy. If you pull on one end and pull on the other, not just ripping. If you got into a fight where somebody pulled your hair, there are times where it wouldn't come off. But if they grabbed it at a leverage point, anywhere along your perimeter, it would. You know what I mean? If you're pulling a band-aid off. Think about this. If you have a bandage on your arm and you just had some hairs sticking out of that through the middle of that bandage, it was attached to the bandage, the hairs would probably break off before the bandage came off altogether like that. Whereas if you grabbed the edge of the bandage and lifted that bit, the bandage would come off easily. The same thing applies with a hairpiece. So don't let anyone grab you by there or there when they're fighting you. So with poly, it gives you full plastic coverage over the glue, so there's no glue facing the outside world at all, as you can tell, which means that there's no glue shine, there's no glue dust collection, and that means that glue, when it's hot, can't melt up through the hairs and fuck your hairpiece either, which is another problem with lace. Which makes me think that maybe the full head of poly would be okay, so long as it wasn't too hot. The problem with poly is there's no version of poly where there are little holes along it, which there maybe should be, because those little dots would be enough to vent out the heat from it, so the heat doesn't all gather and bubble and cause the glue to all melt and be uncomfortable and make you get heat stroke or something because you've got no breathability. So the best we can do right now is a hybrid between poly at the front and lace all around the back. Now, given that poly does not have bleached roots, you'll never get it to look 100% real at the front hairline, which you can currently do with lace because you can bleach the roots of lace. In regards to hair density, the stock pieces off the shelf from every company are pretty much medium density. This is medium density here, and it kind of matches what I've got going on here in my natural hair. But if you want to, so with medium density, the hairs are thicketed together at a distance like this. So if you tried to brush them, they're going to sit and resist against and push against each other because there are so many hairs. If you chose instead medium light density, one, it can look a lot more realistic because you don't suddenly have a fucking fountain of hair coming out of your head like if you'd been bald previously and then you suddenly have thick flowing hair like this. People might not believe it or think it's any good. But the other thing is the hairs are more sparsely separated from each other because there are less of them. So if you wanted to brush it, you can brush it a lot better, right? That's medium light density, medium hyphen light density. This is medium density, and it's only because of the weight of the hairs, because they're long, 3 inches plus, that I have some control over the direction that they sort of land when I brush them. Having grown up with very curly hair, my natural hair is very curly, this is like a dream come true. This is better than my original hair from nature. As this hair dries, it's not going to look very good because I haven't put any styling product in it. I could put leave-in conditioner, but this has no styling properties whatsoever. I would use some kind of clay. There are clays that are sort of higher water content so that you don't have to mix it with water too much when you put it under the tap. But always do that in your hands first. Don't just get a glove and just plonk it and think it's going to spread. It won't. So yeah, use clay. It's the best. If you want a brush back look, I would say at this point in history you can't really rely on poly bases. You have to use a lace base instead. Or if you are, no, just in terms of like what we're revealing when we have a brush back look is forehead meeting hairpiece. Okay, so if you've got bad eyesight, don't trust what's going on unless you've got some glasses and you can actually see close up, or if you go and film yourself with the rear facing camera of your phone and then just look at it and go, fuck, that's bullshit. I can't believe anyone saw me like this. I better fucking, cover it because you failed, right? And with lace, you could do a brush back hairpiece on day one, a brush back look on day one, hairstyle. But on day two you can't because it's all dirty. Unless you clean it, then you can go back again and do a brush back look. But by cleaning it, you put alcohol all over the fucking thing, and now it's weakened the hold all on the front. Also remember, if you bend this back and forward by constantly doing this, like what I'm doing right now, I'm weakening the front millimeter of hold on the hairpiece. Now it's lifting. Okay. In regards to sweat, I think I've got hyperhidrosis. Hyper, more, I guess. Hydrosis, water, I suppose. Like, even at 25 degrees Celsius or 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I look like this. That's what I look like at 25 degrees. Right now, it's probably about 14 degrees. It's winterish time of year here in Australia. So you can imagine what's going on under here as well. Now there are products such as such as scalp prep or something that's similar to antiperspirant, or it is antiperspirant. And then you're supposed to put that down first, wait a while, it sort of goes white and chalky, and then you put your glue over the top of that. For me, it has no effect whatsoever. It just weakens the hold of the glue. So it has no benefit, and I have tried it many times, different companies, but never had any effect for me. So if you're a sweaty person like me, it's not gonna work. So how long is this gonna stay on my head for this time? Can it stay 3 weeks or a month? Yeah, it will. It's just the front hairline won't, because I can't help myself fluffing my hair around all over the place. If I had a brush back look, it would go like that, and then I'd maybe put some hairspray or something in it, and it wouldn't move, and then I wouldn't be fucking with the leverage at the front and flopping it and flapping it. And then it would probably just stay perfect for a whole month, and I wouldn't have to do anything. But because I do flop around at the front twice a week pretty much, I'm gonna get up, lift this up, scrape off the glue on the front hairline with my thumb, and clean my thumb with this. That's usually sufficient. Then glue on some more of this. Hold my front inch of my hair piece back with a hairband, and this takes 15 minutes to dry. So that whole process of peeling all that off, that'll take 15 minutes. And cleaning your thumb with this, and then hot water and soap in the sink with a mirror and a hairband. Then you glue it back on with this. You don't need to put this on anymore. You just need this, and you also need to wipe all the sweat and crap off your forehead where you're gonna, or scalp where you're gonna stick it back down, so that it's a clean surface onto which it can adhere. What else do you need to know? Don't have a little orange mustache like this, it looks like shit. Every 20 years, the most painful thing in the world you have to do is whiten your teeth. Don't have fucking yellow teeth. They should be approximately the same color as the whites of your eyes, unless you've got jaundice. Don't trust your eyes if you've got jaundice. I don't know how to get eyeball whitening injections. But if you've got jaundice, you've probably got cirrhosis, in which case you need to probably go to China where they just harvest people's organs, because they committed the offense of thinking their own thoughts. And then it's about 3 days wait, and then they'll give you a liver without any waiting time, which is very bad. But if you fucked up because you spent your life drinking, or if you got hepatitis, you're gonna need to get yourself a new liver, yeah? I started off earlier by saying that this t-shirt sucks. It's years of being worn out. It's got paint on it and stuff, and often it's got dandruff on the shoulders as well. I think it would look better if it was square at the shoulders, so it showed off the lats on a man. But at this, not that big maybe, because it looks like I'm showing off too much, and I think I'm a muscle man when I'm really a fat ass. Which brings me to the next point. Don't be a fat ass. Lose weight, go to the gym, go for a walk. You know how to do it. Nobody needs to teach you how to fucking lose weight. You know what to do. Just eat what you want, so long as you burn it, right? And it's a pain in the ass, especially if you love sitting down as much as I do. But if you have any goals in life, everything, from your appearance, to how awake you feel, to your health, to your motivation, to the speed at which you can metabolize food, everything comes down to your fitness. So you should do as I say, not as I do. Because all those nutters are always wearing tracksuit pants and shit, and sneakers and stuff, and making out everything they do is going to be an exercise day, and they refer to food as fuel. Those fucking weirdos, they're right. Don't become one of them, though. We need them as the messengers. Messengers, not messengers. Fuck. Technology's got to my head. So, that's about it. If you're wondering how I can make a phone stick to a mirror, it's blue tack. I don't know why it doesn't exist in a lot of countries. You guys seem to be missing out on a lot of stuff. But then again, America has everything, so I assume there's some sort of blue tack in America too. It's just that I never see it mentioned. And if I look it up on Amazon or something, it doesn't seem to exist in other countries. Blue tack. Maybe you have to get it from Australia, sent over to whatever country you're in. Now, how do we solve the last remaining problem, which is the front hairline being unrealistic due to unbleached knots in unbleached roots in lace, in poly. How do we solve the problem of fixing unbleached roots in poly? Like I said, it has to be a custom order. I'm ordering it now for myself as a trial. If it's really good, I'll keep asking for it. But custom orders take 8 weeks to be made and then another week or 2 to be shipped. So we're talking about over 2 months. Whereas if you get a stock piece, which has no real bleaching going on, they'll take it off the shelf and just send it to you within a week. Pretty much worldwide, as far as I understand. Unless you live on a small island and it has to be taken by different ferries and across the map. But if Australia can get it quickly, the rest of you can get it too. Because we get way less goods and services than all the countries, because we really are quite isolated down here. And if you're grey, you have the option, of course, of dyeing your greys, which seems like a pain in the ass because after you've dyed it, there's all this residual dye all around here and stuff, and you've got to cover your ears and cover your fingers, you've got to do it all the time. I might end up doing that if I care about myself enough, or if I just become fit and I have heaps of energy. It's like, what do I do? There's nothing to do. I can dye my hair again. Yeah, something else to do. I guess fitness is good for that sort of stuff, but then you've got to sit there tapping your foot through a movie and you can't fucking concentrate because you want to get up and move. Like one of those fucking weirdos who wear tracksuit pants all the time. So, I'm not insulting the fat people who lay there and go, no, I'm going with nachos wearing tracksuit pants. They're no problem at all. It's the fit ones who make life look easy for them and hard for the rest of us. So, I think I ran out of stuff. Just say, is there anything major that I missed? Is it itchy? Does this bit get itchy? No. The rest of it. The rest where I don't have a hairpiece, because I'm not constantly exfoliating with a razor blade and doing all this stuff to it, I get dandruff in this area. So I'm going to have to use anti-dandruff shampoo thoroughly until it goes away, but I never do. I usually just stop it when the bottle runs out, or when I can't be bothered or I forget, and then it just keeps coming back. And I've always got this white dandruff on dark shirts that I like to wear because I've got pale skin and it feels like I need darker colours to sort of juxtapose the very white look. So this is the end product with an ugly shirt. Hope you learned something if you didn't already know all this. At least if you did know it all, maybe it kept you company or something. And you're welcome.